I'm stuck again.
This show hates you and it hates Scooby-Doo. Howdy, y'all. I'm Adam the Renaissance Nerd, and welcome to my one and only review of Velma Season 2. If they had dropped this shit on a weekly basis, yeah, you'd get my episode 1-2 review, all that kind of stuff that I did last time. But no, they batch dropped this stinker because they want to flush it fast because it is everything that was wrong with Season 1 on steroids. So I'm just going to get this done, and we're going to move on to bigger, better, some cases even worse things down the road. But here we go, Season 2. As I just said, it's as bad as Season 1. It's got everything that was wrong with Season 1, but amped up. The gay agenda, amped up. The hate of men, amped up. Now they added hate of religion this time around. They are basically crapping on other franchises within this. They take pot shots at Looney Tunes in this. They attack the Scooby-Doo lore even more, and they basically push their ideology, their political agendas all throughout this whole thing. It's all over the place. It's there. We're going to talk about it in one fell swoop. I'll comment as we go along, and then we're walking away to do other fun things. Okay, let's get to it. It starts off 3 weeks later. The previous sheriff was murdered at the end of last season, so they're going to find his body right away. While Velma and Daphne, who are now all super gay, discover his body when they're going to go make out in the woods or something. I don't know. I don't even remember anymore. It's already fading from my good memory. So after they've discovered the body, suddenly, oh, he's murdered. Here's a big halloo. And right away, we didn't get it last season, so why not now bring out a they-them? That's right. Behold Amber, the they-them, it's a girl, but they call them by their pronouns and by the name. She is a horrible character. She's a witch. She's a Wicca. She wants to cast spells. She believes in ghosts. And then there's her mother, who is one of the band chicks from Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Look what they did to this one sexy character. Look what they've done. They hate beauty. There is nothing beautiful in this show. Everything is ugly because Mindy Kaling is ugly on the inside and the outside. So they introduced the they-them who's supposed to drive, who's the sexual wedge between Daphne and Velma, because now Velma doesn't like being challenged and Daphne's sort of attracted to her. It's just, During this whole thing, though, Fred has an obsession with the idea that his mother was possessed by Norval's dead grandmother's ghost, who we know from last season isn't actually dead, but was in an insane asylum. We're going to get to that in a minute. She has her whole role to play in all of this. And Norval isn't high. Last season, we thought he was going to be high like Shaggy. Nope, he's not high. What he does is buy pee from drug addicts to fool his dad that he's doing weed. Isn't that fun? So now here begins the mystery. Who killed the sheriff and who eventually starts killing a bunch of other dudes around town? That's right, another serial killer mystery. Not just anything else, any other kind of mystery. No, we're going to do serial killer all over again. And we're also going to revisit the same stupid tropes from season 1, except this time it's going to be on Norval or on Fred, and they'll move things around. Remember last season how Velma was having crazy reactions to her mother's death, thinking her mother's ghost was torturing her? Well, this time it's Norval's turn. He's being tortured by Fred's mother's ghost because he accidentally killed her in the season finale when he hit the bullet and the stalactite fell on her, and Fred blames him for it. Long story short, because I'm going to cut around in terms of reveals here, he is actually being haunted by her ghost. We discover later in the show that when the brain gets taken out of a body, the mind can present itself as a ghost. So she is actually there haunting him. Choose. Are you going to go Scooby-Doo original where it was all dude in a mask, or are you going to go in the future where they started adding in supernatural stuff in the late 80s and the 90s? Is that what we're going to do? Pick one. You can't, because you don't actually understand the lore. You're just mashing it all together and making fun of it, thinking you're witty and clever. Mindy Kaling, you suck. All right, skipping around. I think I mentioned Fred discovered religion during all this, has become a ghost hunter. And Basically, this is their chance to make fun of Catholicism. Now, listen, I am not a Catholic, but you know what I don't do? I don't make fun of Catholicism because there's no reason for me to. It's just a different religion than I partake in. I have no reason to. Whatever its problems are, and let's be honest, all major religions have their problems. To constantly dump on it over and over and over again, like Mindy Kaling does in this show, is pathetic. It's sad. And it's hateful. It's hateful of organized religion because Mindy Kaling's Velma is constantly running around going, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this. There's only science. It's zero respect. And she's not even just using religion as an example, because the whole Amber, they, them is a witch, as I said, and her mother's opening a cold store, and they've moved in with Daphne and her moms, and she slowly turns Daphne into a witch, a Wicca, whatever the hell you want to call it, and Daphne, for a while, runs around going, I am a witch, I am a Wicca, I believe in spiritual stuff, Velma, why can't you love what I love? They create stupid lesbian drama that nobody's interested, and it's not even funny. It even culminates at one point where they all get detention in school, and Norval's dad wants to recreate the Breakfast Club, and they spend an entire episode shitting on the 80s. That's right, an entire episode saying, oh, if you like the 80s, you need to grow up. You need to stop living in the past. They hate everything that we love. It's that simple. That's the bottom line message of that line of hatred in this. They hate everything we love. They don't want you to enjoy anything unless it's their ideologically driven crap. During all this, Velma's mom is back in the picture. She's divorced from her dad and turns out to be a bit of a slut because as soon as she meets one of the dudes that eventually gets murdered, she jumps his bones, and then right after that, she jumps Fred's dad's bones. Which leads to this whole thing about how now Velma and Fred's dad are getting together and eventually he wants to marry her, and Velma needs to accept it because she needs to fight against her urge and hatred for rich and wealthy. Because, oh, did I forget to mention, they still rail on the wealthy in this one. Rich people. This is funny. Rich people making this show attacking rich people. Well, the kind of rich people they hate, though. Big business corporation or old money and shit like that. Listen, if you have wealth, you've got wealth. Wherever it came from, in my opinion, good for you. It's what you do with it, how you use it, how you behave as a human being. But they pretend that, and by they, I mean Mindy Kaling and her Marxist leftist companions, they want to pretend that their wealth is the good kind of wealth. And corporate wealth, even though they're all in bed with the corporations, it's so hypocritical, isn't it? Is evil. And evil white men are going to use money evilly, and rich people are bad. There's a lot of commie bullshit laced throughout this whole season. Down with the rich, eat the rich, this and that, communism, down with... They even have down with capitalism multiple times in this episode. Series. We're going to be serious here, Adam. It gets so terribly boring, tiresome, pick a word. I gotta move on, though. So the story's gonna move on of how the serial killer is killing dudes, biting off their dicks, or cutting off their dicks. I think I just sort of spoiled it, but I don't care anymore. Losing their dicks, and all the men in the town freak out. It even lands in a moment where Daphne's moms, who are, again, running for sheriff, they lose the election to the brother of the previous sheriff because they screwed up the investigation at one point. And you're going to say, Adam, well, look, there's women screwing up. Well, not really, because the women all still are collectively smarter than the men, as they spend an entire episode where everybody thinks it's an old woman who's killing the men in town. So the men decide to go make the women stay in the Crystal Cove caves while the men solve the problem. Meanwhile, during that, the men are all effing around, not actually doing shit. And when the women come out, they get shit done and solve the problems. There's still the hate of men in this. The degradation that men are worthless, men are terrible, men have no ability to get anything done. It requires women to solve all the problems. We're the ones making the inventions. We're the ones who are actually smart. And whenever we're pretty, they spend this whole time later on that pretty women get disrespect, but even ugly women don't get any respect. So all women have problems. There's a line later on when Velma and Daphne switch brains. Yes, I will get to that in a moment. When they switch brains and bodies and they learn from each other that, wow, You had problems as a hot girl. Wow, you had problems as the smart, ugly girl. All women have problems. We just have to understand this, that we all suffer and struggle the same. It's stupid. It's lame. But it's what you expect from Mindy Kaling and Velma. And I say brain swapping, I'm getting to that now. It turns out that Norval's grandma is alive, and for 30 years, she's been holed up in an insane asylum running her own version of Project Scooby. Remember, Project Scooby is, with an I, not a Y at the end, is about taking out brains and putting them in other bodies or training them to do other stuff, finding out the secret of spirituality. Well, according to this one, if you take somebody's brain out and let them experience things, they turn gay. They become gay. I told you, the gay agenda is rampant on steroids in this show. They're constantly pushing face. The hetero relationships are dysfunctional, and the gay ones are dysfunctional, but aren't they nice and sweet and perfect, though, in the end? They're right. They're okay together. Whereas the other ones are all about, manipulation and this and that. One of my other ones, like the hetero ones, are all about manipulation. So she's switching her brains, and Norval, along with the they-them, eventually go over there and discover it, and that makes it... that introduces the main plot point of this whole thing, because it all boils down to brains in this thing. And then I forget to mention that Norval is having a simp relationship with one of the hot girl brains in a jar, and he wants to have sex with it. Now, he does want to put it in a body and have sex with it, but he still wants to have sex with the brain in the jar. Yeah. At some point, let's see, where am I? At some point, Norval is trying to get rid of his anxiety over seeing Fred's mom's ghost. He electrocutes his brain. He does all this other shit, and he even asks for forgiveness. And Fred eventually throws away the Catholic Church after forgiving Norval, or when he finds out he has to give over too much money to the church. He then quits instantly and then demeans it all the way around. And they eventually make up, and they have to bring Fred to Norval's grandmother so that he finds out that his mom is dead and is not possessed, or his mom wasn't possessed by his grandmother's spirit because she's very much alive. And that all ends up in Fred learning about hugging and needing a hug, and learning that his mom was an evil bitch and his dad is just a dumb moron who just needs to talk to him a special way. It's, once more, as I said, executed poorly. They don't understand how relationships work, and their joking way of going around it is insulting, frankly. Completely and utterly insulting. Now, as I said, I'm jumping around back and forth. A lot of brain swapping goes on. At one point, Norval's grandmother swaps her brain with Daphne, who goes on a spiritual journey to learn about herself and understand why she's having relationship troubles with Velma. And it's just really bad, because at one point they make you think she made out and had sex with Amber, they, them, but in fact she just puts a curse on Velma. It's as though they want to try and tell a story but are too cowardly to try and actually tell these stories about relationships. Even the gay ones, which they're so happy to tell us about, which they demand that we watch and respect. They're too cowardly to even have anything be controversial. They just want you to understand that you gotta love the gay people. And if you don't love them, well, you're angry old white people. That's essentially it, and that you're a racist and a bigot. And while while Norval's grandmother is running around in Daphne's brain, she learns about other things, that the military is still doing research on Project Scooby on their own, that they've had plants running around the town monitoring, taking notes, and keeping ideas. And we eventually learn that the people who have been dying are actually the plants of the military who have been keeping the experiment going. And that there was somebody called Uncle Scooby who ran around in a dog catcher's mask and outfit, who was kind of pushing all the buttons. And I'm going to reveal that in a minute. I'm going to hurry up and get to the big ending stuff, because if I was doing this one episode at a time, I could point out each and every moment of hate, but I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time anymore. What happens is, eventually, too many people have died. Everybody's confused. Norval's grandmother, we learn that she is kind of on the run, and she's been working for somebody else. She's been working for Uncle Scooby. And we learn, and here comes one of the biggest insults of the whole thing. And it's an insult, not because I would say a beloved character gets destroyed, but the fact that they do it anyway, that they go the direction of what I'm about to reveal. We learned that Uncle Scooby was pushing the creation of an invincible soldier for the military version of Project Scooby. And what they came up with was a dog. So yes, there is a talking dog in this, but it's not Scooby. It's not Scooby-Doo. Instead, the invincible, unhinged, brain-swapped dog creature, it's Scrappy. It's Scrappy-Doo. Now, as a kid, I liked Scrappy-Doo. As an adult, I found him annoying. But Scrappy-Doo is an institution. But what they did in this one, they turned Scrappy into an insane, undying dog that is murdering everybody. Tries to convince Velma he's not. And Velma's so smart she doesn't fall for it. And he's been biting off all their dicks because he wants attention. He wants to be perfect. I don't know. They don't want him they don't let him do what he wants, which is why he gets angry. And he takes Uncle Scooby and he runs. And so Uncle Scooby and Scrappy are the ones murdering, or in Uncle Scooby's case, accomplice to Scrappy's murders. And they rope in Norval's grandmother to basically put all their brains in the hot girl body brains, the hot girl brain bodies. And they're going to all run away and disappear because Norval's grandmother, she can't be found out by the military. Otherwise, they'll arrest her or whatever. It's ridiculous. And it all culminates in the fact that Scrappy is revealed. They try to capture him, but Uncle Scooby is threatening everybody's lives. And it all reaches boiling point at a wedding between Velma's mom and Fred's dad, and Velma's dad and his girlfriend Sophie, who turns out to be Uncle Scooby. And we're going back to what I talked about before, the whole women are so demeaned by men. And whenever she was attractive and when she was in the military, nobody paid attention to her or her ideas because she was a beautiful woman. But once she put on the mask and pretended to be a man, of course everybody paid attention to her. So once that gets all revealed and everything gets done, they all plan to try and stop Scrappy and his dog accomplices and Norval's mom. It's this whole retarded thing. It ends up in a giant explosion battle of missiles and gunplay where Scrappy's trying to kill everybody and Velma has to face off with him by herself. And Velma, she gets blown up. I'm going to say it. Velma gets blown up. And Velma dies. And the only way she can beat Scrappy is by her ghost possessing him and blowing up his brain. Because this stems from a part earlier where Fred and his mom had a battle for his body because she tried to possess him to make him a better man. Because remember I talked about how the brain comes out, the mind separates, they made ghosts. They set this whole thing so Velma can possess Scrappy and beat him. And there was also this thing about after his mom, Fred's mom, made him a better man, he decided to then become a dominatrix and beat up the members of the board of directors of his company like she used to. It's a whole thing. But yeah, so there you go. Velma wins the day by killing Scrappy by possessing him, but then she's a ghost. She's a ghost. And everybody's okay with that. And we'll find a way to help you. Just don't get beaten by another specter or monster while we're waiting to help you. And then there's a little thing behind her, and that's the end of the season. So Velma actually died. Now, if this felt very dumb to you, because it was. It is a low hill roller coaster ride of no excitement, no entertainment, no humor, and just hate. I expressed it already. There's hate for religion. There's hate for men. There's hate for the original source material. There's hate for anything else. They make jokes, and I think I said this, about Looney Tunes. Like, who would want a Looney Tunes, this or that? And they even, because they're mocking religion so much, they put up a picture of the Looney Tunes cast in a manger scene. It's very weird way the show operates. And I ask the question, who was this ever made for? Who is this here to entertain you, me? Is it even to entertain stans? Because who is cheering for this show right now? Nobody. All the commentary out there is myself and other reviewers ripping it to pieces. It's derogatory comments on social media. I see nobody celebrating this. So you got to wonder, where are we going? We're going to Cancellationville. That's where we're going. I don't see this get a season 3 because season 2 was inevitable. They did an order for 20 episodes at once, and they just chopped it in half. This would require a fresh order from Warner Discovery, and I do not see this happening. There is no way this gets anything because it has been a financial disaster. You don't batch dump it like you did and just wait for it to go away. Nobody who's involved with this has said a word on social media. Nobody's marketing this, nobody's promoting it. There were no trailers for this. Leading up to it, there were a couple of image marketing things on social media. That was it. No trailers, no nothing. This is a rejection of the butchering of great things. And frankly, I'm glad it happened because it accelerates what is wrong with Western entertainment, making things ugly, attacking, hate, pushing divisive conversation. Because that's all this was. All the show is meant is to divide people, not bring them together in entertainment and humor, but divide them with hate and pushing agenda. So there you go. It was kind of a chaotic review, but that's what this show was. Chaos, ugly, disgusting. And I'm done with Velma season 2, and hopefully done with Velma forever. So thank you for watching this. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, take it easy. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Check out my gaming channel at Renaissance Nerd Arcade, and follow me on X Twitter under @TheRedNerd. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy.